Sometimes there's mysteries that can never be explained, no matter how hard investigators look. Take, for instance, Jack the Ripper. We've all heard about him, but despite the mounds of evidence against him, he was never caught. And how come we've never been able to find Cleopatra's tomb when she's easily one of the most famous leaders to have ever lived? These mysteries have plagued us for years, decades, and even centuries. But there's no answer in sight. From D.B. Cooper's identity to what's really lurking around Area 51, here are 10 unexplained mysteries that experts just cannot solve. Number 1. D.B. Cooper. D.B. Cooper is the pseudonym given to the unidentified man who hijacked Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 305 on November 24, 1971, and extorted a $200,000 ransom before parachuting from the plane and disappearing into the night. The case has fascinated and perplexed investigators and armchair detectives alike for over 5 decades, with many theories and speculations about the true identity of the infamous hijacker. The hijacking occurred on a rainy evening as the plane was en route from Portland, Oregon to Seattle, Washington. Cooper, described as a middle-aged man wearing a black suit and sunglasses, approached the flight attendant and passed her a note claiming that he had a bomb in his briefcase, demanding that the pilot land the plane in Seattle. Of course, his demands were accepted. Upon landing, Cooper exchanged the passengers for the ransom money and ordered the plane to take off again, with the new destination of Mexico City. However, he never made it that far. About 45 minutes after takeoff, Cooper lowered the rear stairs of the plane and jumped out using a parachute he had brought with him. The aircraft continued on to Reno, Nevada, where the authorities discovered that Cooper had disappeared without a trace. Despite an extensive investigation by the FBI involving numerous leads, interviews, and searches, the case remains unsolved to this day. The lack of concrete evidence and the fact that Cooper's identity and whereabouts have remained unknown have only fueled the mystery surrounding the case. One of the most famous and plausible suspects in the case was Richard McCoy, who had previously attempted a similar hijacking and escaped a few months after the D.B. Cooper incident. McCoy, a former Army Green Beret, and a trained helicopter pilot were eventually captured and imprisoned for the hijacking. However, the evidence linking him to the D.B. Cooper case was inconclusive. Not to mention, he died in a prison escape attempt in 1974. Other suspects have included individuals with military or intelligence backgrounds, as well as amateur skydivers and adventurers who may have had the necessary skills to pull off the heist and escape undetected. Some have even suggested that Cooper may have been an employee of the airline or had insider knowledge of the security and procedures on board. In the end, the D.B. Cooper case may never be solved, and the true identity of the enigmatic hijacker may remain a mystery forever. Number 2. Incident at Dyatlov Pass. The incident at Dyatlov Pass remains one of the most perplexing and unexplained mysteries of the 20th century, and in just a minute, you'll see why. In 1959, a group of 9 skilled hikers embarked on a trek in the Ural Mountains in Russia, but their journey ended in tragedy when they were found dead under bizarre circumstances. In fact, the cause of their deaths has remained a source of speculation and debate for over 6 decades. You see, on January 25, 1959, the hikers set up camp on the slope of Kholat-Syakhl, or Dead Mountain. The next day, they began trekking toward the summit, but the weather deteriorated, so they decided to turn back. However, they never returned to their campsite. After several days of no contact, a search party was dispatched, and what they found was shocking and baffling. The first signs of something being amiss were the tent, which had been cut open from the inside. And if that wasn't enough, the fact that the hikers had left without proper clothing or footwear made it much more perplexing. The search party found footprints leading down the mountain and eventually discovered the first 5 bodies. They were scattered over a radius of several hundred meters, some only partially dressed and others with serious injuries, including skull fractures and broken ribs. 2 of the victims even had severe burns, despite no signs of fire around the campsite. The search continued, and it took 2 months to find the remaining 4 bodies. They were found in a ravine 75 meters from the other victims. It seemed that they had taken shelter under a large cedar tree, and there were indications that they had attempted to start a fire. Unfortunately, all of them died of hypothermia, suggesting they could not create a fire or keep warm. The investigation into the incident initially pointed towards an avalanche, as the hikers' injuries could have been caused by blunt force trauma. But this theory was soon dismissed, as there were no signs of an avalanche at the scene, and the footprints leading away from the campsite were not covered in snow. In addition, the hikers' injuries were too severe to have been caused by an avalanche. Other theories proposed included an attack by indigenous Mansi people, or a secret military experiment gone wrong. Again, no evidence supports these claims, and they were eventually dismissed. The Soviet government was forced to close the case in 1959, attributing the deaths to a compelling natural force, whatever that may mean. The incident has since been the subject of numerous investigations, documentaries, and even a Hollywood movie. However, despite extensive research and speculation, the actual cause of the hikers' deaths remain a mystery. Some theories proposed over the years include a sudden and violent weather event, infrasound, and even an encounter with extraterrestrial life. Although these theories have yet to fully explain the events of that fateful night. In recent years, new evidence has come to light, including a diary found at the scene containing cryptic entries about flying spheres and a sense of unease among the hikers. In addition, forensic analysis of the victims' clothing and hair has revealed traces of radiation, adding to the mystery of what really happened at Dyatlov Pass. While new evidence and theories continue to emerge, it's unlikely that we will ever fully understand what happened to those 9 hikers on that cold winter night in 1959. Number 3. The Mary Celeste. The Mary Celeste is probably the most well-known ghost ship in history. The ship, a 103-foot brigantine, was discovered adrift and abandoned on December 5, 1872, off the coast of the Azores in the Atlantic Ocean. What happened to the crew and why they left the vessel remains a mystery to this day, making the Mary Celeste a fascinating and enduring maritime enigma. The ship was built in 1861 in Nova Scotia, Canada, and was initially named the Amazon. In 1868, the ship was sold and renamed the Mary Celeste. It was used to transport various cargoes, including lumber, coal, and raw cotton, and had a reputation as a reliable and well-maintained vessel. On its final voyage, the Mary Celeste was commanded by Captain Benjamin Briggs, a seasoned seafarer with a wife and young daughter on board. The crew consisted of 7 men, including Briggs' first mate, his brother, and 2 German sailors. The ship was carrying a cargo of denatured alcohol from New York to Genoa, Italy. On November 7, 1872, the vessel left New York and headed out to sea. The ship was last sighted on November 25th, off the coast of Portugal by the crew of the De Gratia, a British brigantine. And on December 5th, the De Gratia spotted the Mary Celeste again, adrift and abandoned. The ship was in a state of disarray, with its sails partially set and the ship's wheel lashed in place. The De Gratia crew boarded the Mary Celeste and found no trace of the crew. All of the ship's boats were missing, and the ship's logbook and navigation instruments were also gone. The cargo of denatured alcohol was still intact, and there was no sign of struggle or violence on board. The only clues to the crew's whereabouts were a single lifeboat and an open hatch revealing water in the hold. The Mary Celeste's mystery has fascinated people for decades, so of course, people have theorized what may or may not have happened. Some believe that the crew abandoned the ship due to a sudden storm or a problem with the cargo. Others have suggested that the ship was attacked by pirates or that the crew fell victim to a mutiny. However, the actual reason behind the crew's disappearance remains a mystery to this day, and possibly for the foreseeable future. Number 4. Jack the Ripper. Jack the Ripper was an unidentified serial killer who committed a string of gruesome murders in the Whitechapel district of London in 1888. Despite extensive investigations and numerous theories, Jack the Ripper's true identity remains a mystery. The Ripper's first known victim was Mary Ann Nichols, who was found dead in the early morning hours of August 31st, 1888. Her throat was slashed, and her abdomen was mutilated. The following week, the Ripper claimed 2 more victims, Annie Chapman and Elizabeth Stride. Like Nichols, their throats were cut and their bodies were mutilated. The 4th and 5th victims, Catherine Eddowes and Mary Jane Kelly, were killed on the same night, November 9th, 1888. Investigators knew one thing: the Ripper's method of operation was consistent in each case. He targeted vulnerable women, often prostitutes, and attacked them in secluded areas. The police investigation was led by Inspector Frederick Aberline, who interviewed hundreds of witnesses, suspects, and prostitutes. Despite his efforts, the Ripper was never caught. At the time, the press coverage of the murders was sensationalized, and the public became obsessed with the identity of the killer. This led to the investigation being plagued by false leads, hoaxes, and conflicting witness accounts. Various suspects were arrested, including a hairdresser named Aaron Kosminski, a Polish Jew who lived in Whitechapel, but none of the suspects were charged, and the case remained unsolved. The Ripper's identity has been the subject of numerous theories, some more plausible than others. Some have suggested that he was a member of the royal family or a prominent figure in society. Others have pointed to the similarities between the Ripper's crimes and those of other serial killers, such as H.H. Holmes or Albert DeSalvo, aka the Boston Strangler. Still, there needs to be more concrete evidence to support any of these theories. In recent years, some have turned to DNA analysis to try and solve the case. In 2014, a shawl belonging to Catherine Eddowes was tested for DNA evidence. The shawl had been found near Eddowes' body and was believed to have been worn by the Ripper. The results were inconclusive, but some experts believe that the DNA points to Aaron Kosminski as the killer. Until the day more conclusive evidence is unearthed, the killer's identity will remain a mystery. Number 5. Area 51. You've probably heard of Area 51 in memes, but guess what? Area 51 is a real-life United States Air Force base located in the Nevada desert. In fact, it's one of the most secretive and heavily guarded locations on the planet, with access strictly limited to those with top-level security clearance. The base's purpose and activities have been shrouded in mystery and conspiracy theories for decades, leading to speculation about its true nature and purpose. The area around the base is a no-fly zone, with signs warning aircraft that deadly force may be used if they violate the airspace. The government has never officially admitted to the existence of Area 51, but its presence is widely known and documented through satellite imagery and eyewitness accounts. One of the most enduring and pervasive theories surrounding Area 51 is that it is home to extraterrestrial technology and/or aliens. The rumors began in the 1940s and 1950s, when UFO sightings were at their height and the government was actively investigating reports of flying saucers and other unidentified objects. Some conspiracy theorists believe that the Roswell incident in 1947, where a UFO supposedly crashed in New Mexico, was connected to Area 51, and that the government has been studying alien technology ever since. Others believe that the base is home to advanced military technology, such as experimental aircraft and weapons systems. And you can't blame people for such far-fetched theories, though. The United States has a long history of developing cutting-edge technology in secret, such as the stealth bomber and the SR-71 Blackbird. It is possible that Area 51 is where the government tests and develops the next generation of weapons and aircraft, far from the prying eyes of foreign governments and the public. Despite the secrecy surrounding Area 51, there have been a number of leaks and disclosures over the years that have shed some light on what goes on inside the base. You may recall that in 2013, the CIA declassified documents confirming the base's existence and revealed that it had been used for testing the U-2 spy plane during the Cold War. The documents also revealed that the base had been used for testing other experimental aircraft and weapons systems, such as the A-12 and the F-117 Nighthawk. In recent years, Area 51 has become something of a cultural phenomenon, inspiring countless movies, TV shows, and books. The base has also become a popular destination for conspiracy theorists and UFO enthusiasts, who gather each year for the Storm Area 51 event, which started as a joke on Facebook in 2019, but turned into a real event. However, the actual base is off-limits to the public, and trespassers risk arrest and even physical harm, so maybe don't go there just yet. Whatever its true purpose, Area 51 remains a symbol of secrecy and intrigue, and its legacy is likely to endure for many years to come. Number 6. The Voynich Manuscript. The Voynich Manuscript is a mysterious book that has captivated the attention of scholars, historians, and codebreakers for decades. The manuscript is a handwritten document of over 200 pages, which dates back to the early 15th century. It is named after Wilfrid Voynich, a Polish book dealer who acquired it in 1912, and it has since remained one of the most enigmatic manuscripts in the world. What makes the Voynich manuscript so mysterious is that it's written in an unidentified language or script and accompanied by strange and cryptic illustrations of plants, animals, and human-like figures. The text appears to have been organized into sections or chapters, but its contents remain a complete mystery. because no one has been able to decode the language, and the illustrations do not correspond to any known classification system. One of the most fascinating characteristics of the Voynich manuscript is the mysterious author. Despite extensive research, no definitive evidence indicates who wrote the manuscript or why. Some believe it was written by an alchemist or an herbalist, while others believe it was the work of a group of people. There are even some who speculate that the manuscript may have been written by extraterrestrial beings. Of course, aliens are involved. Over the years, numerous attempts have been made to decode the Voynich manuscript. Codebreakers, linguists, and historians have all tried their hand at deciphering the text, but to no avail. The language and the symbols used in the manuscript are so unique that no one has been able to find any patterns or connections to other known languages. Despite the numerous attempts to decode the Voynich manuscript, its contents remain a mystery. Theories abound, with some suggesting that the manuscript is a practical joke or a hoax, while others believe it may hold the key to unlocking some of the greatest mysteries of our time. Some even believe that the Voynich manuscript may hold the key to immortality or the secret to eternal youth. Whether or not the Voynich manuscript holds these secrets will likely remain a mystery for quite some time. Number 7. The Pollock Sisters. The Pollock sisters were two young Scottish girls, Joanna and Jacqueline Pollock, who were involved in a mysterious case that remains unsolved to this day. The events surrounding the girls' lives and deaths have led to many theories and debates, with some people believing that their story is a clear example of reincarnation. Joanna and Jacqueline Pollock were born in England in 1954 and 1956, respectively. In May 1957, when the girls were just 3 and 1 year old, they were killed in a tragic car accident while walking with their mother, who survived the crash. In 1958, their mother gave birth to twin girls, Gillian and Jennifer. When the twins were old enough to speak, they began to talk about their other family in Scotland, where they claimed they had lived before. They described the house they had lived in and even identified their old toys and clothes. The girls were also able to recall detailed memories of events that had happened before their birth. Nobody thought much about it, but when the family visited Scotland to investigate the twins' claims, and the girls were taken to the town of Hexham, they immediately recognized landmarks and people from their previous life. The girls were taken to the house they had described, and they were able to correctly identify various personal items belonging to their deceased sisters. Psychologists and scientists have studied the Pollock sisters' case for years. Some people believe that the girls' memories and experiences are evidence of reincarnation, while others believe that their memories were the result of subconscious suggestions or false memories implanted by the adults in their lives. Whether or not Joanna and Jacqueline were really reincarnated as Gillian and Jennifer will probably remain a mystery, as there's no way to confirm otherwise. Number 8. Phaistos Disc. The Phaistos Disc is a mysterious object discovered in 1908 on the island of Crete, Greece. It is a small disc made of fired clay, measuring about 16 centimeters in diameter, and has a unique set of symbols inscribed on both sides, arranged in a spiral pattern. The symbols are believed to be a form of writing, but their meaning has yet to be deciphered. The disc is believed to be from the Minoan civilization, which flourished on Crete between 2600 and 1400 BCE. This period was known for its avant-garde art, architecture, and writing system. Not to mention, the Minoans were one of the first to use a script known as Linear A, so the theory made more sense. But what was weird was that the writing on the Phaistos disc is different and has not been identified, so that theory was ignored. The disc is thought to have been created using a technique known as the reduction method. This involves shaping the clay into a disc and then stamping the symbols onto the surface using a set of punches. The disc was then fired, making it more durable and preserving the symbols for thousands of years. Over the years, new theories have been offered about the meaning of the symbols on the disc. Some have suggested that it is a prayer or a hymn, while others believe it to be a message or a story. However, with a clear understanding of the symbols, it is possible to determine the purpose of the disc. One of the most compelling features of the Phaistos disc is that it is a standalone artifact. Unlike other examples of ancient writing, which often come in the form of tablets or inscriptions, the Phaistos disc has no known context or accompanying texts. This makes interpreting more challenging, as there needs to be surrounding information to help decipher the symbols. Despite numerous attempts, no one has been able to decode the Phaistos disc. However, this has not stopped scholars from trying. Over the years, many experts have dedicated their careers to understanding the disk, and new theories are continually being proposed, although none have been able to give a satisfactory answer. Number 9. Cleopatra's Tomb. The mystery of Cleopatra's tomb has intrigued historians, archaeologists, and treasure hunters for centuries. Cleopatra, the last queen of ancient Egypt, was known for her beauty, her intelligence, and her dramatic life. She was born in 69 BC and ruled Egypt from 51 BC until her death in 30 BC. While her reign was marked by political turmoil, war, and romance, her death was shrouded in mystery. Cleopatra's tomb is believed to be located in Alexandria, Egypt, but its exact location is still unknown. Some historians speculate that Cleopatra was buried with her lover, the Roman general Mark Antony, in a grand tomb that was destroyed by earthquakes and floods over the centuries. Others believe that Cleopatra's tomb was looted and desecrated by grave robbers or conquerors. Despite the many attempts to find Cleopatra's tomb, no definitive evidence has been seen. In 2006, the renowned archaeologist Zahi Hawass led an expedition to search for Cleopatra's tomb, but the mission was unsuccessful. Hawass, who was known as the Indiana Jones of Egypt, has spent decades searching for ancient treasures and artifacts, but he admits that the mystery of Cleopatra's tomb is one of the most challenging puzzles he has ever encountered. You would think someone as famous as her would have a very luxurious resting place, and until one point, that's what some believed. Cleopatra's tomb is so elusive because it is believed to be buried under layers of sediment and debris from earthquakes and floods. The area around Alexandria has been inhabited for thousands of years, and many structures have been built and destroyed over time. But some think that the tomb may have been deliberately concealed or moved by Cleopatra's loyal followers to protect it from desecration. No matter what anyone thinks, the search for her tomb is still on. Many archaeologists and historians are still searching for clues, and treasure hunters are also hoping to find Cleopatra's legendary riches, which are said to include gold, silver, jewels, and priceless artifacts. Let's see who finds her first. Number 10. JFK's assassin. President John F. Kennedy's assassination on November 22, 1963, remains one of the most enigmatic events in modern history, and for good reason. Nearly 6 decades later, the identity of JFK's killer remains a mystery, and many questions about the assassination and its aftermath continue to baffle researchers and the public. The official version of the assassination is that Lee Harvey Oswald operated independently in shooting Kennedy from the Texas School Book Depository's 6th floor in Dallas. However, this theory has been challenged by countless researchers, journalists, and conspiracy theorists who argue that Oswald was actually a part of a larger conspiracy involving multiple shooters and possibly government officials. One of the most puzzling aspects of the JFK assassination is the series of strange and suspicious events that occurred before and after the shooting. You see, there were reports of shots being fired from multiple directions, and eyewitness accounts of mysterious men lurking in the area before the assassination. Plus, the strange behavior of Oswald before and after the shooting, his connections to various political and intelligence groups, and his subsequent murder by nightclub owner Jack Ruby all raise serious questions about the official story. There have been countless theories and speculations about who was behind JFK's assassination, including organized crime, anti-Castro groups, the CIA, and even the Soviet Union. Some of the most popular conspiracy theories suggest that Kennedy was killed because of his opposition to the Vietnam War, his efforts to expose government corruption, or his attempts to rein in the power of intelligence agencies. Despite the efforts of numerous researchers and investigators over the years, the mystery of JFK's killer remains unsolved. The US government has released thousands of documents related to the assassination, but many of these have been heavily redacted or remain classified, fueling further speculation and suspicion. Some experts believe that the whole truth about the assassination may never be known, as key evidence and witnesses have been lost or destroyed over the years. Regardless of who was behind JFK's assassination, it remains a tragic and significant event in US history, with far-reaching consequences for the nation and the world. Will any of these mysteries get any satisfying answers? That's yet to be seen. Every few years, persistent investigators stumble upon new evidence that reopens the case and ignites hope. So, if we're patient, we may just get the answers that we've been searching for all this time. Till next time.